On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with Josh Robbins about how he started Vault Promotions and why he's a crazy Browns fan. Well, hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, once again, and joining me today is a good buddy of mine, Josh Robbins. He's the owner of Vault Promotions. Josh, thanks so much for taking the time, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. How you doing, Kirby?
I am doing fantastic. I'm fantastic, and I'm excited to see you again. Obviously, we just were on a trip out in San Diego not too long ago, and so it was a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we were out there, you were sort of telling me a story, and it's one of those stories that starts like a lot of stories in our industry, and that you were working for one company, that company was acquired, and I think there's a bunch of ways that you can react when that happens.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, right. So talk to me about what happened next for you.
It was kind of a crazy time, a little bit surreal. And I have to give you a little bit of backstory to kind of put you, where my head was at the time. So I had found this group that I was working for inside the industry just kind of as an accident. Before that, I had sold phones for a company and they were acquired 2 or 3 times. So I went through some acquisitions and just hated it. So then I ended up working for a portrait studio. I was chasing kids around, taking family portraits. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome because photography is also a passion of mine. So I was like, okay, this is great. I've got a staff under me. I'm a person here. And I remember coming in and there was a dumpster sitting outside of our studio. And I was like, that's weird. What is that? And I come in and we're shutting you down. You're going to have to lay off the staff tomorrow. So I had to lay off, 15, 20 people the very next day. And I was like, dude, this is brutal. So I made it a point. I'm like, okay, I'm going to find a mom and pop place. I don't care what it is. I just want it to be family owned. Okay. And so that's kind of when I stumbled into the industry. And so found this nice little family owned company. We're making name badges of all things, which, sucked for the first couple of weeks. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but but then I saw the industry and it was cool. And so when I got the phone call, I was actually on vacation. I remember exactly where I was standing. It's a place that my wife and I go to all the time down in Florida, and we still visit it. And I walk by the patio, and I'm like, yep, that's where it started. But I got a phone call right there and letting us know that, the company was being sold. Would I have any interest in moving to where they were relocating the company, and that everybody else was getting laid off? And I was just blown away, So you've got everything running through your mind, but more than anything, it was kind of anger. It was just, gosh, I am so sick of this. Right. So I think that was a driving factor as I'm talking it over, because, obviously it's a family decision and there's lots of things running through your mind. Do I play it safe? There's a couple suppliers that were around the Nashville area and a couple distributors. I'm like, I can stay in the industry. And I interviewed and did a couple of things. But, at the end of the day, I guess what struck me was I needed to be in control of the next situation. I didn't want to find myself just being a part of a numbers game. And then second of all, I was only at that company for about 5 years when this happened. Right. But there were guys that were there for, 15 years, 20 years. Like there's the kind of experience that you just can't replace. Right. And I thought it would be a disservice not only to them, but really to the industry if we didn't put that back to work. You just can't find experience like that. I read something and it was, something along the lines of, people are the most important thing. Find the people, and then your business model and your products will come afterwards. Just find the right people. And so that really struck me. And so we just kind of went for it. I said, okay, at a time when you're laid off and you should be saving money, we're going to be blowing it. Let's spend our savings, So, and my poor guys in the back, man, I mean, you want to talk about bootstrapping an operation. This was bootstrapped, because we paid cash for everything. If we couldn't afford it with cash, we didn't buy it. I didn't want to be in debt. And so we're talking about some rudimentary equipment, and if a badge order came through for 5,000 badges and they had rounded corners, somebody is, manually rounding each one of those corners. And so God bless them. They stuck with it and they were awesome. And, now we're great. We've got all kinds of backup equipment. We got automated everything. So now it's golden. But at the beginning, it wasn't. But it's a scary decision. But I think it all boils down to just betting on yourself and saying, the next time that something bad happens, it's either going to be because I caused it or I can't be mad at anybody else when it does happen,
Yeah,
you know?
no, that's amazing. I love giving the backstory too. So, in that moment, like striking out is a pretty bold move.
Right.
Just like you were saying, like you're betting everything. So I'm always curious about that because I think when you start a business, I always think there's that blind optimism that it's going to be amazing. And many times there are a lot of things that are amazing. But what
Sure.
what have you learned that has surprised you?
I don't know that I ever doubted that we would be successful. I mean, it's hard, and you're very conscious about trying to make sure that you do it right. And as you add employees, that's kind of added weight, I guess, maybe that
Sure.
I wasn't prepared for. You sort of feel like you're taking on their families a little bit as well. But
100%.
honestly, it was kind of. I thought when I started the business, it was going to be pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. We're going to blow this thing out. We're going to sell badges everywhere. And I've really found that it's been the total opposite. It's been slow down, pump the brakes, kid. It's like you're moving too fast. You're growing too fast. So we want to be intentional about how we grow, because one of the things that separates us from anybody else is the level of service. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say. And, we give great service. No, we have to give great service because, our item line is a little tough to sell. And so that's really important to us. And I kind of, we approached it a little bit different. Instead of just email blasting everybody, and instead of going to every trade show and scanning every badge that we can, we focus in on who we want to do business with, and we try to pick our partners a little bit, if that makes sense. So, it's kind of like I compare it to going to a job fair. If you went to a job fair and every single person that came by you, would you hire them to be on your sales team? No, of course not. You would pick the most qualified people. Well, distributors are our sales team. So, why would you just get anybody out there and spin your wheels servicing them when you've got really good partners that you could be taking care of? So we really kind of find the right partners to build our team,
That's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, you don't want to stunt growth, So, I mean, it's a fine line that you have to walk, but you also want to put your energies and your time and your money into people that will reciprocate, and it's kind of tough sometimes to balance that. And sometimes things can get a little bit out of hand, and there's just growth that you can't control. And so you just deal with it the best that you can. And then it's also, I found that I'm not selling products. This is, and in this industry, that's absurd to say because everything is a product. But, I really don't sell products. I sell name badges. Everybody knows what a name badge is. You don't have to sell this stuff. Like, people know it. It's not like we've got some left-handed potato peeler with a USB plug and you're, trying to explain why you need it. It's like, no, people know what this is, so we're not selling the product. We're selling, business 101. You sell yourself, right? So we're selling ourselves. We're selling our company, and we're selling a way to move the product. That's our goal is, can we build something and make it better than what they're, what people are used to right now. So we sell our program. That's what I'll make you any badge you want. We sell a program. That's what we're after. So I think, coming in, you think that you're going to sell product and you're just going to be pedal to the metal, but it's a little more strategic, Yeah.
No, that actually makes a ton of sense, and that's super insightful. So, final question for you, buddy. I know you're a big sports fan. So, do you think having passions like sports can actually help you in business?
Yes. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah. It's yes, I am a sports fan.
Yes.
But I'm not like crazy over the top sports fan, even though it may seem that way. I think like, especially in social media, a lot of our contact is done on social media. Yeah. Like, I knew you from social before I ever met you.
Yep.
And I'm sure that if I would have asked you blindly, hey, this Josh Robbins guy that you only know online, what do you know about him? And so, and I did that. I asked somebody, one of my relatives, and I said, look, if you just didn't know me and you looked at, but just what you do know of me, what would you say that I represent? Like, what are the top 3 or 4 things that I represent? And they said badges, Browns, and barbecue. And I was like, perfect. That's what you need to focus on, because it is authentic. I am a fan of being authentic. I'm not saying that you should build this character online, but you have to sort of be intentional about being memorable.
Yeah.
And so I really do kind of focus on that. If you go on my feed, you're gonna see a lot of barbecue, you're gonna see a lot of Browns, and you're gonna see some badges. But if people can remember you for that, it's the little quirks,
Yeah.
And if they feel like they know you, then they can feel like they trust you. And if they feel like they trust you, they're going to buy from you. People buy from people they trust, period. Yeah. So any way that you can sort of establish that connection, it's great. And then it also is just an easy icebreaker.
Well, that was about to say, yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, they do buy from people they like or they know and they trust. But by just giving them something that they can say, open the conversation, say, so you're a big Browns fan, or you're a runner, or you're a whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, does it get any easier? It's like you don't have to talk about the weather outside. It's like, how about the Browns? Last week, like, oh yeah, they were awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think that I think the key though is it's fine to be passionate and it's fine to be authentic. Be intentional. So and that's something that I think can get lost sometimes. So
100% agree with that. All right, cool, man. You've answered my 3 questions. Do you have a question for me?
I do.
Okay.
Do you think the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl? No, I'm kidding.
No. I would love that, but no.
Okay, so it's kind of a twofer here. So if Kirby in 2019 could go back to Kirby 2009. So you could go back 10 years in the past, and you could tell yourself one thing that you think Kirby in 2009 needs to know, one in business and then one in personal life.
Wow.
What would that be?
That's a great question. Never been asked this. Okay, so one of the things that I always wish, I think people view the amount of content that we create as a lot. Right? Like whether it's through video and blogs and all that stuff. In 2009, I would have started that more consistently earlier. I would have been earlier to YouTube. I would have been earlier to blogging. I would have done what I did in the last 2 or 3 years. I would have done that in 2009 and been one of the first movers in that. It was the right move that I did. I just wish I'd have done it 5 to 10 years earlier.
Sure.
Because I think at the end of the day right now, attention truly is one of the most valuable things we have and the hardest to garner. And if I could have built that audience even 5 years earlier, it would have helped my business. So that's the first one. Personal, I think one of the things I'm probably most proud of, I was just talking about this the other day, is that Amy and I, my wife and I, have done a pretty good job of living in the is. We live in the moment that we were in. We aren't nostalgic about 5 to 10 years ago. We're not looking forward to 5 to 10 years from now.
Yeah.
But in that moment, 10 years ago, my kids would have still been home. That's the moment where you say, just continue to focus on that. Continue to focus on the is, because
be present.
Yeah, just be present. And I think though I'm proud of how we did. I think that's something that I could have always done better.
Totally. I mean, it's funny. That would be my exact answer as well. Like, I would tell young Josh, like, dude, be present.
Yeah.
Quit looking ahead. Just be present. I think that's awesome. Yep. You got it.
Buddy. Well, cool. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time. We'll have to do it again,
man.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We will see you next time.